Okay guys, addition on a number line, and we're really just talking more about addition, some more rules of addition, some things that we want to be familiar with. Okay, now looking at these properties, first off, the identity property of addition. Basically this says if we add 0 to a number, we get that number. Okay, anything that we add to 0 is that number, is that thing. Okay, 4 plus 0 is 4. 12 plus 0 is 12. Negative 3 plus 0 is negative 3. Austin plus 0 is Austin. Kyle plus 0 is Kyle. Okay? Devin plus 0 is Devin. Anything plus 0 is itself. But we also need to know that this number is called the additive identity. 0 is known as the additive identity. Okay? We have another term called the multiplicative identity, which we'll talk about later. But what do you think, seeing what the additive identity does, what do you think, tell me what you think the multiplicative identity is, Troy. When you multiply something by 1, you keep the number. When I add something to 0, I keep the number. Okay? So what is the multiplicative identity? We know what the property is, but what's the thing itself, the multiplicative identity? Devin? 1. Okay, the additive identity is 0, but the multiplicative identity is 1. We'll get to that later. All right, so we've got a good idea with what's going on here. Now, guys, right here, the property of opposite. For every real number a, there is a real number negative a, or the opposite of a. Okay, such that a plus the opposite of a equals 0. So that first one we said, anything I add to 0 stays the same. Anything I add to its opposite gives me 0. Okay? That's the property of opposites. If I add a number and its opposite, I get 0. Additive inverses. This is just to tell you that opposites are additive inverses. If I add them, I get 0. They disappear. They cancel each other out. Okay? Now this thing here, you guys are familiar with this. We're going to talk about this, the property of the opposite of a sum. And it says for all real numbers a and b, the opposite of the quantity a plus b is equal to the opposite of a plus the opposite of b. Now you guys know this. We've talked about this. The opposite of a plus b, what's really in front of these parentheses, Curran? Negative 1. Okay? And a number next to parentheses means what, Ruben? A number next to parentheses means I multiply. So negative 1 times a, Ruben, gives me? I'm sorry, negative 1 times a gives me? Negative 1a, or just negative a. Good. And negative 1 times b, or positive b, is what? Negative 1b, or negative b. Exactly. And that's what this is saying. Okay? So we're clear on that.